Hi, my name is Lena. Welcome to my channel. And we are reading Njal Saga for this Sagalong2021. And I have read first 40 chapters, and I'd like to tell you about my first impressions and thoughts on this saga. And I'm probably the last one to do it. So I'm reading Njal's saga with Elisabeth from Bookish North, Mark from Richardson reads, Dario from Motley reads, Lukas from a crew reads Thesis, Steve Donoghue, Scott and Becky from the Bookish Bryants, Jack from Rambling Raconteur, Scott Danielson, and Tilly from Tilly's Shelf. And I will leave links to their channels in the info box below. So about the saga, it's packed with information, lots of fights, lots of sea battles, lots of slaying in the best graphic tradition of Iliad, and very interesting and entertaining stories about people, including three very strong-willed, very interesting women. So it's difficult to choose what to talk about. And I guess those first 40 chapters are about stories about two women and two brothers, very close brothers, and two best friends. So let's start with the first one, with the story of Un and Hrut. Women are usually portrayed in this saga as beautiful, strong-willed, and capable, bold and capable. And men are portrayed as strong, big, handsome, good warriors, good fighters, and sometimes exceedingly good at sports and fighting. So, yeah. So, Hrut, Un is a young, beautiful, and very wealthy woman. And Hrut asks her hand in marriage. And his brother, Hoskult, those are two brothers I was talking about, he either wants this alliance so much, or he loves his brother so much that he actually gives his brother money and property, some property, to make him a good match for And so gets betrothed to Hrut, and suddenly Hrut has to go to Norway and take care of some inheritance problems there. And that's usually how the trouble starts. So it's like a guy cannot have it all. He cannot have this traveling, raiding, adventures, and wealth and honor that comes from this traveling, raiding, and adventures, and the woman he wants to marry. He cannot have it all. So anyway, Hrut goes to Norway, and he needs an ally there. He needs help with this problem, with his inheritance. And it happens so that he has an affair there with the king's mother. I guess they married pretty young back then, and she was a very beautiful woman still. So he has an affair, more like sleeping arrangement with the king's mother. And this arrangement is very profitable to both of them. They profit from this arrangement. But unfortunately, he conceals from the queen the fact that there is a woman waiting for him in Iceland. And when he asks directly this question, he lies to her face. And that's why she puts a very interesting spell on him, more like a curse, which leads to divorcing him in 2 or 3 years. And she does it strictly by the law. But at the same time, it's very ugly the way she does it. And that leads us to the question of Un's money, her dowry. Hrut keeps it, and he also does it by the law. He does it by this ancient law. And it's also kind of sort of ugly. And I do not understand it, why he keeps this money, because from this moment on he is portrayed as a meticulously honest and honorable and fair man. So he's the one who always makes sure that blood money is paid when compensation for slain is due. And even when compensation is refused on solid grounds, he makes sure that presents are given. So he wants no bad feelings. He wants to make sure that there are no bad feelings. So I do not understand why he keeps this money. Maybe he feels that he is due this money, that it's compensation he is owed because of the ugly way his divorce was handled. For some time he becomes a laughingstock for people in Iceland. Maybe that's why he keeps this money. Well, that's kind of a bad decision he makes. And then we are moving on to the story of Halgert, the other woman, Hrut's niece and Hoskul's daughter. And she's bad news. She's beautiful, and the way they nicely put it, she has a mind of her own, so she's strong-willed. It's more like she has an evil mind of her own. And her first husband, the one she didn't love, gets killed for hitting her. And I'm naturally against domestic violence and domestic abuse. But when you know Halgert a bit better, it's like a natural response to her, I swear. So her first husband gets killed by her foster father. And her second husband, the one that she did love, gets killed for hitting her by her foster father. And that teaches her one thing only, that, in my opinion, that any man can be easily get rid of if you have a suitable man to do the job. And this woman, she could do without this kind of lesson. And that kind of leads us to the story of two best friends, Ghana and Njal. And it's a very interesting, entertaining story. And I recommend you to read it. It's very enjoyable, very interesting. It's the story that is full of sea battles and fights and, very graphic slaying. But I think the real trouble starts when Ghana, who was a very popular man at the time, meets Halgert and decides to marry her. Decides to marry this twice widowed woman who had her two previous husbands killed. But, he's exceptionally good at fighting and sports, and I guess he feels that he is up to this challenge. So he decides to marry her, and he marries her. So, unfortunately, it happens so that Halgert and Njal's wife, Bergtora, absolutely hate each other. So these two wives of these two best friends are two natural enemies. They absolutely hate each other. I have a feeling that women in Iceland back then paid more attention to the honor and respect showed to them than even men did. So it starts with Bergtora showing Halgert some disrespect. and it escalates to first murder when Hildegard sends a slave to kill Njal's slave, and Bertora retaliates, and it escalates to the murder of a freedman, and then it escalates to the murder of a kinsman. So it doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen over a week. It happens over several years because during the winter, husbands are home and wives have to behave. So this foreboding, this premonition, this scary words in the saga are the following words. People wrote to the king in the summer. It's like a fair, like a meeting, so they bring goods and they decide on matters, on legal matters as well at this thing. So people wrote to the king, men wrote to the king in the summer, now to what was happening at home. And I can't help, thinking and feeling that those well-meant, those well-meaning, those well-mannered men let it happen, that they knew about their wives' food, and they knew who they were married to, these women who they were married to, and they let it happen because they did nothing. They just, were given back and forth this bag with blood money, this compensation money for killing at first a slave, then a freedman, and then a kinsman. And I don't know much, but lots of people are going to die because before this saga ends. And it was very exciting and very interesting. I think Penguin Classic has a very good translation. It's very well written. It's easy to read. If you are not focusing on all the names, all the, family trees, if you're not paying this close attention to that, it's very easy to read. It's very readable, very enjoyable. And I recommend you to read it. And I hope you will join us. And I'm looking forward to reading these next 40 chapters because I enjoyed these first 40 chapters so much. Thank you for watching. Goodbye and happy reading.